films all at once. The studios were in between a merger. And so that's when you got Pulp Fiction, things. Oh, maybe it was 99 and Fight Club. There was a whole bunch of films that came out then that would not have got through the studio ringer. But the fact there was no studio watching them, they'd fired all their employees or something like that. These guys just made their films with no, and that was a really good era. So that's a really good, don't get involved in business and studio and more money, more problems. Whereas like you just take what you need, you go make what you want, and then you develop the taste of the communities.
Yeah.
You've seen, people watching your movie. And there's people that want to watch my movie. There's a lot of people that don't want to watch my movie, but there's lots of people that do.
Yeah.
So that's the way to go.
Yeah. And anyone can really do it. I mean, we're in today's day and age with digital cameras. You can pick them up cheap and you can make a movie out of it, It just depends on whether you want to make it or not, But you do need a solid idea, but I don't know, don't overthink the idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's your top sort of 5 tips for independent filmmaking? Let's go for top 5 lessons you've learned.
For getting into independent filmmaking?
For being an independent filmmaker. Number 1 lesson is don't let people call people fat on set.
That'd be number 1. Yeah. Yeah. I think, just get a solid idea, first off, because you're going to be spending a lot of time making it because you don't have a lot of money and you're probably going to spend a year or 2, 3, 4 years on it. So make sure, your idea is solid. It's something that you want to be working on to begin with. Make sure you've got a decent script. Just try and find some solid actors because, it is about the acting. I mean, there's a lot of, especially when I understand, there were some actors in there that the acting was really quite atrocious. And one actor had to cut out like 80% of his stuff because the acting was just terrible.
Looking at the camera or something like that, just little things.
I won't mention names.
No.
But make sure you just try and find a good actor or good actresses or good actor.
Yeah. And you can tell, like when you look, even Hollywood stuff, you look at, when you got Leonardo DiCaprio's face on screen, the camera can sit on him for 2 minutes and he takes you on a journey with all the acting.
Yeah.
And so like his reaction and feeling and this and that, and then you can, just little things like that. But you think in terms of a producer now.
Yeah.
You've got one scene in one take. It's 2 minutes of the film. It does all these things for the story,
Yeah. And if you notice like bad acting, then it's going to draw you out of the film.
Yeah.
You really want that acting to be solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just go for it. Hey, like there's so many, there could be so many tips I could say, but
yeah.
At the end of the day, just go for it.
My biggest tip is always the same, and it's a rising tide lifts all ships. So, if you're giving advice to people like this and they go out and do it, the indie film scene gets bigger. And when it gets bigger, it gets more powerful. And then you can rent a cinema and show people's films all the time. And that's how you build a community behind that.
Yeah.
So you've always got to look at it like, let's all get in, let's go together, let's help each other out. You make this film, we'll come and make this film with you, and you come and make this film with us. And then all these things happen. And then, the scene builds, the community builds, and then who knows, that becomes a thing.
Yeah.
So the next, Nigerian dudes did it for Hollywood, Nollywood or whatever, they're just like, let's make films. You watch those Nigerian films, they're like, Jesus Christ. But now there's like a Nigerian Hollywood, and there's a scene and they're driving Bentleys probably and stuff.
Yeah. And just treat people, nice, on the film and that, because they're going to want to work with you. And if they're doing it for free, as long as you just treat them nice and give them a challenge as well, like especially the actors, try and make your script so it's a challenge for them, because that's what actors want, like they don't want to just walk onto a set and just flow through. I mean, I wouldn't, if I was an actor, I wouldn't want to do that. I'd want to have something that was a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
So try and write your script where there's a bit of a challenge for the actor or the actress, and that'll get them really wanting to put out a good performance as well,
Beautiful. All right, Mark, great chatting to you, and I'm sure looking forward to seeing the next bunch of work coming from you.
No worries, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Stories Within Stories podcast. We hope you've enjoyed this show. For more stories like this, head to barefoot-media-co.